Okay, hello, it's Dave here. Welcome to my next video. Thank you for watching. What I want to talk about today is Kundalini energy anatomy and conscious evolution. And so what do I mean by that? What I want to talk about is the different channels of energy that your body uses to provide the actual mechanism for how your consciousness evolves. And so most people know this as Kundalini, but I want to just sort of clarify how it actually works and go into some of the details of how it works. Excuse me. Okay, so 9 columns of energy, not just small sort of pin-sized, energy lines, more like the meridians are very thin. These are columns of energy in your torso. There's 3 on the front, right side, left side, middle, 3 on the back, left side of the spine, right side of the spine, middle of the spine, that's 6. There's 2 that go up the side, right up, and then that's 8, and then there's 1 central column that goes down right in between them all, right from the top of your head, down through your throat, all the way down through your organs to your perineum. And that central column is about this big, and then all of the surrounding energy columns are maybe sort of 2 fingers wide by 2 fingers deep. So they're pretty sizable energy channels, and they are just sort of like the blood vessels of your energy body. They just deliver energy in the same way that your blood vessels delivers blood and nutrients and oxygen. These channels just deliver energy to wherever they're needed, up and down any of these channels. And your life force flows up and down these channels on a day-to-day basis, but most people are not going to be aware of it for a few reasons. One is that the energy is just the channels can be very clogged sometimes, like a clogged pipe. Water does not go through a clogged pipe. It gets stuck and it gets stopped. So I'd say the vast majority of people don't notice this energy flow because there's so many clogs in their energetic channels that the energy just does not move. Or if it does, it moves very, very slowly. So imagine if it took a month for the energy to move like even just a millimeter. It's a very, very slow rate for a lot of people. And you just would not pay attention to that. Even experienced meditators would have a hard time noticing energy move at a rate that slow. And the other reason they don't notice it is just because the energy is very, very fine and diffuse. Some people can start to sense it through deep meditation, but for the most part, your average everyday person doesn't notice this energy, and that's fine. It's got its own mechanisms of how it works, which I'm going to talk about just a moment. So your life force travels up and down these channels. Now, the mechanism for evolving your consciousness, otherwise known as Kundalini, is tied in between your sexual energy and your breathing. So in males, the sexual energy comes from your testicles, and in females, it comes from the ovaries. And this is where the actual energy is generated. And as you breathe in, as you breathe out, it causes a very slow wave or movement of energy. And like I said, it can be very, very slow to the point where it can feel like it's not even moving. But your breath causes this energy to move up and down your energy channels. This happens in everybody all the time, 100%, whether they're aware of it or not. And so this energy gathers at your perineum, which is the point between your anus and your genitals. And this point has what I call, and this is just my own term for it, it's the director point. It knows when and where and exactly how much energy to send up or, up each energy channel. You don't actually have to think about this. If the energy comes up and hits a certain block somewhere, that is registered. The point on your perineum will gather more energy there. It will send more energy up to that point until it makes it through or clears a certain blockage. So the main sign that people are not aware of Kundalini are going to experience when they're undergoing this process is, I would say, two things: highly charged sexual desire and a realigning of the spine, or popping and cracking in your spine. And so what happens is, because the energy from your genitals gathers at the perineum, the energy almost swells up like a balloon, and it gathers and it gathers and it gathers, and that can make you quite aroused. But if you're able to make it through that sensation and just see what happens and let it go, that energy will actually start to be pumped up your energy channels, and it will hit, when I say hit, it will move towards and slowly eventually dissolve energetic blockages in your system. And as this happens, I should say first, the energetic blockages are going to be beliefs or thoughts or perceptions, negative judgments, negative expectations that are not in alignment with love. They're going to be other people's stuff that you've taken on throughout your life. There's going to be some family stuff there, maybe some ancestral stuff that you're carrying around with you. And just, traumas or things that have been unrepressed or unexpressed in terms of negative energies. And so your own sexual energy is used to help clear these throughout your life. And as the energy moves up and clears a spot, a certain amount of energy blockage, you might feel the need to move your spine in a certain direction. It will crack or pop. Maybe it won't. It doesn't always happen, but it can. And that's a very obvious sign that this process is happening to you. When that happens, it can cause an emotional release. And I think this is very important for people to understand, because this is where a lot of people's emotional outbursts can come from. It can have absolutely nothing to do with, your family. It can have absolutely nothing to do with, your work or your relationships or whatever. It's just emotion from you have no idea where, and it's just coming up. And that's this self-clearing mechanism that is present in everybody, causing this release to take place. Now, very small releases, clearing very small blockages can cause very small emotional releases, but also in terms of the scale, if you clear a very huge blockage, that emotion just comes up whether you like it or not, and there has to be a way of expressing it. And so expressing it is the key to moving forward in this process in your conscious evolution. If you repress it, or are afraid to express it for some reason, you're just not in a situation where you can, that energy blockage stays there. But when it finally does get released and expressed and the emotion comes out, that actually makes room in your energy body for a higher belief system or way of seeing the world that is more in alignment with love, to sort of, it's kind of a bad analogy, but just kind of migrates down into you, and you get to see and behave through this new belief system. And here's the key, if you want to keep the process going, is that your behavior is what cements in the clearing of the energy channel. So if you have an emotional release that's really related to Kundalini, if you start falling back on old behaviors and the way you used to be, and they're not working for you, that's going to make the energy block reappear wherever it is on any of your energy channels. So you have to cement in the new way of thinking with a way of behavior that is in alignment with that, and repeat that over and over again. And as long as you do that, that will keep your energy channels clear and will keep the energy flowing up and down the channels, and you'll operate from this new system or this new belief. And it is an elevation, so the new beliefs that come in are always going to be ones that are to your benefit, for sure. Okay, so next, just in terms of the emotional response, like I said, it can happen either from coming out of absolutely nowhere and you have no idea where it can come from. The other way it can come that can stimulate this emotional release is from situations that repeat over and over and over and over again. So it's very good to be aware of the patterns that are happening in your life over the short term and the long term, because you will choose to be in, or a situation will just come to you and you will judge it or perceive it in a certain way, and that will happen again and again, and that will build. And as long as you have that old way of perception or old way of thinking, that's going to be the thing that causes the emotional response, and it will keep coming at you until that emotion is finally cleared out of you. So that's the other way it can happen. Okay, so this is how it happens. This is one of the mechanisms. This is sort of the mechanism that is all inherent to us. You don't actually have to do anything other than breathe and live. And this energetic mechanism will happen at a certain rate on its own, according to its own pace, in your own level of consciousness. I don't know if that's the best term for it, but your own, where you are at in your journey, I think is better to say that. So it's going to happen in everybody, and that's all it is. It's just you breathe, the sexual energy comes up, it clears a blockage, you have an emotional response, a new filter of perception comes in, you operate from that filter of perception, you change, you grow, and evolve. And that happens over and over and over again until this process starts to accelerate. And once it starts to accelerate to a point where you've got large surges of energy coming up and down your body, then people call it a Kundalini awakening. But it happens in everybody. And so, if you want to, like I said, this is sort of the baseline and happens on its own, but you can actually take some steps to accelerate this and help this process along. It's not for this video, but if you want to be a conscious participant in your own active growth and evolution, then there are ways that you can accelerate this process. And in general, just choosing to becoming more loving, more compassionate. This energy does flow a lot stronger and a lot greater when you're coming from a place of love than a place of fear. Self-love. So, and all the things that you do to love your body, a really good diet, really good sleep, really good movement practice, help, practicing forgiveness and compassion are all things that you can do to help get the energy channels flowing, but also gentle breath exercises to stimulate the flow of energy. Meditation and mindful practice is fantastic. These are all just the general things, and there's more to it, but I think I'm getting long on time here, so there you go. That's it. This is how consciousness evolves within you and through you. It's your breath and your own life force energy opening up the energy channels. So thank you for watching, and take care.